You wake up, grab your phone, check the scores. Your team won. You're happy. Then you check your bank account, and suddenly, you're not so happy anymore. Because somewhere between the $380 tickets, the $1,100 hotel rooms, and that $19 beer at the stadium, your wallet just got knocked out of the ring. Welcome to the 2026 World Cup, where the only thing more inflated than the trophy is the price of everything else. This isn't just a tournament, it's a $80 billion economic machine. And it's changing economies, cities, and your personal finances in ways you probably didn't expect. Let's get into it. The numbers are insane. Let me hit you with some perspective. This year's World Cup has 104 matches, 48 teams, and over 6 billion interactions. It's the biggest tournament in history, and the price tag also the biggest in history. FIFA alone expects to generate nearly $9 billion in revenue from this tournament, with $3.9 billion from television rights and over $3 billion from ticket sales and premium packages. A joint study by FIFA and the WTO projects the gross economic output of the event to reach $80.1 billion. $80 billion. Let me put that in perspective. That's enough to buy every single McDonald's franchise in the world and still have change for a McFlurry. That's more than the GDP of some small countries. But here's the thing. That's the money they're making. The question is, who's really paying for it? The winners, tourism, and local businesses. Let's start with the good news. For host cities, the World Cup is like a giant money cannon aimed directly at their local economies. Mexico expects an additional 10 million tourists during the tournament, with about 3 million traveling to its 3 host cities. Kansas City alone is expecting an estimated 650,000 visitors to flood the area. And these visitors don't just watch football, they spend money, a lot of it. Around 6.5 million tourists are expected to travel to host cities during the tournament, spending around $14 billion on accommodation, food, and transportation. Foreign visitors plan to stay an average of 12 days and spend $416 daily. Hotels are cashing in, restaurants are expanding operations, local businesses are gaining new customers, public transportation systems are generating additional revenues. The World Cup gives cities a global stage. They showcase their attractions to millions of people, and the tourism benefits. They can last years after the final whistle. New York, Toronto, Dallas, Mexico City, LA, they're getting the kind of exposure money can't buy. Even small businesses benefit. Food delivery spikes. Gatherings at cafes increase, and social media interaction goes through the roof. The GDP boost, but it's smaller than you think. Here's where things get interesting. The tournament is projected to boost GDP across the 3 host countries. 6.1 billion US dollars, plus 0.1% quarterly growth. Mexico, $1.7 billion, plus 0.3% quarterly growth. Canada, $1.3 billion, plus 0.2% quarterly growth. Canada alone projects more than 24,000 jobs linked to World Cup activities, with an economic output of approximately 3.8 billion Canadian dollars. The preparation and operation phases created 824,000 full-time jobs globally, with the US securing approximately 185,000 of them. Los Angeles anticipates a $594 million economic impact from the 8 matches it hosts. New York and New Jersey project a $3.3 billion economic impact and more than 26,000 jobs. Dallas also expects an economic boost of nearly $400 million. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. Even if FIFA's projection of $17.2 billion to US GDP is reached, Deutsche Bank says the overall economic impact will likely be limited, amounting to a short-term GDP lift of roughly 0.05%. 0.05% growth. That's like dropping a penny into a wishing well. It makes a sound, but it doesn't change your life. In the context of a $30 trillion US economy, That's nothing. You wouldn't even notice it. The losers, taxpayers, and host cities. Now here's the part they don't put in the promotional videos. FIFA is projected to collect $8.9 billion from the 2026 World Cup, while the 11 US cities hosting it could face a collective shortfall of upwards of $250 million. How does that happen? For the first time in World Cup history, FIFA is operating the tournament itself. It controls essentially all of the revenue, from media rights and sponsorship to ticketing, hospitality, and merchandise. The cities and states, they control the costs. It's a franchise model where the franchisees pay to operate the business and the franchisor keeps the receipts. What costs public safety? Police overtime, fire and medical services, traffic management, transportation infrastructure. According to one analysis, the operating budget for the tournament is $1.12 billion. Projected revenue is $11 billion. That's a massive margin, and FIFA keeps it. Take Dallas. FIFA needed an international broadcast center, a 500,000 square foot media hub. The city committed $15 million in capital improvements. FIFA's contribution? Nothing. And after the World Cup ends, the building gets knocked down. Georgia, Florida, and Missouri all agreed to waive sales taxes on World Cup tickets. But ticket prices are dramatically higher than anyone projected. The result: Missouri alone is leaving roughly $15.7 million on the table, compared to the $5.9 million originally estimated. Combined across those three states, nearly $60 million in public revenue was surrendered. Former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel saw this coming. When FIFA sat down with him, he said, "You gotta be kidding me. I'm not giving you taxpayer money." Chicago ultimately said no. The ordinary fan gets squeezed. But the real story isn't just about cities and corporations. It's about you. Ticket prices are astronomical. Like, I could buy a used car for that, astronomical. The cheapest seats on the FIFA website start at $380 for a group stage game. The most expensive, $1,170. A semifinal ticket in Dallas will set you back between $2,705 and $11,130. At those prices, you're not buying a ticket, you're buying a mortgage on a memory. And that's before flights, hotels, and food. A single hotel room for 2 nights. Over $1,100. Transport to the stadium, $80 round trip. A beer at the stadium, close to $19. $19 for a beer. Let that sink in. That's more than minimum wage per hour in most states. You'd have to work an hour just to buy one beer. That's not a drink. That's a financial crisis in a cup. One Norwegian fan spent roughly $4,000 for himself, his father, and his wife to attend one match. He called the price insane and said, "It's not really for individuals. I feel like it's for corporate America." A Bosnian couple flew to Toronto, spending 1,250 Canadian dollars per ticket, $600 per night on a hotel, and 1,150 Canadian dollars per flight, totaling roughly 5,400 Canadian dollars. Following your team from the first game to the final could cost over $30,000. One analysis put the total at over $50,000 for tickets, accommodation, and flights. Hotels in host cities have seen prices surge by an average of 90%. In some cases, prices jumped over 300%. Houston led, with some prices up 837%. Boston and New York/New Jersey are the most expensive host markets, averaging $611 and $593 per night, respectively. This part matters. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The World Cup is a money machine. But the question is, for whom? FIFA is leaving with billions, the TV networks are making billions, the sponsors are getting global exposure, the ultra-rich are spending up to $4 million on private jets and luxury experiences. The host cities, they're left with the bill. The taxpayers are footing the cost. And the ordinary fan is paying exorbitant prices just to be part of the experience. But here's the strange part. Even with all this, people still go. They still pay the $380 tickets, the $1,100 hotel rooms, the $19 beers. Why? Because the World Cup isn't just a sporting event. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. For many fans, it's about memories, about being part of something bigger, about a moment they'll tell their kids about. And FIFA knows that. They know you'll pay. Because for most fans, this is their only chance. And once-in-a-lifetime things come with once-in-a-lifetime price tags. So here's the reality. The World Cup is changing your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, and probably your snacks too. It's generating billions for corporations and leaving cities with debt. It's creating jobs and squeezing the fans who make the tournament what it is. It's a beautiful game with an ugly price tag. But here's the thing. For millions of fans around the world, it's still worth it. Because you're not just paying for a game. You're paying for a memory, a story, a moment. And honestly, that's priceless. But next time you're at the stadium, maybe bring a sandwich and a water bottle. Because $19 for a beer, that's not just expensive, that's a crime. Before you go, what's the most you've ever spent on a sporting event? Was it worth it? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to know. And if this video made you think differently about what you're actually paying for, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because honestly, we could all use a little more perspective on the real cost of the beautiful game.